Hello and welcome to the grand strategy game called Realpolitiks II. Today we're gonna play a little bit in our main scenario called On the Brink of Tomorrow. This is a scenario that begins in the 2021 and you can select virtually any modern countries, including some countries that have limited recognition, such as Republic of China over here. Now for this game I will play as Kazakhstan. It is a country in Central Asia with two very powerful neighbors in China and Russia. But it has some potential for expansion down south, and that will be my immediate goal, to expand over here. So let's see what we can do about it. So at the very beginning we need to choose our advisor, our right hand. Now each of them has different effects that can influence your game in a certain way. Now for someone like me who wants to play aggressively and expand down south, be at war probably quite a lot, someone like Colonel Sarcastro could be a very good choice, as he can improve my attack modifiers and my manpower. Or alternatively, I could try to offset my weakest points, because if I'm gonna be on a war a lot, well, that means that I will have probably problems with things like war losses and warmonger, which in return will cause problems with things like unhappiness, and maybe there will be some rebellions that I would prefer to avoid too. So to do so, I could try to offset these weak points by choosing someone like Dalai Lama, who can actually lower my warmonger and my war losses. So it all depends on the player. I will stick to Sarcastro, and let's see what we can do. Now shortly after beginning, you will see a introductory event that can get you accustomed with basics of the game. You can also play a short tutorial. I'm going to skip it for now. Then we will see another event that can inform us about all the possible victories we can achieve in the game. There are several ways to win the game. There are not exclusive, so you can go for 2 or 3 or as many as you can in a single go. We've got our diplomatic victory, which is a main victory to achieve the world government. Then there's technological victory, cultural victory, which means that we will have to spread our culture all around the world. In this case, this is a Kazakh culture. Economic victory, domination, i.e. controlling the world, and score victory. Now score victor will be determined after 100 years from now. Country with the highest number of score points will be determined a winner. Now of course you can play after these 100 years, that is not a limit. You can play as long as you want to. Or you can just, and that is what I'm going to do, I'm actually gonna to do for something completely different. You don't have to necessarily go for these victories. You can play as in any way you want to. And Kazakhstan is actually one of the countries that has access to unifications. Now unifications allow you to create a certain unions that will make your country probably much more powerful and stronger. And as Kazakhstan, I can create a union of Central Asia, which means that I will have to control provinces belonging to these countries down here. So this will be my immediate goal. Now we can see over here we've got Bishkek. Kyrgyzstan seems to be the weakest of these countries, at least of these two. We've got Uzbekistan, which already starts with 50 units at the very beginning. Kyrgyzstan just has only 7, so it will be a much easier much easier target to begin with. So this will be our main target to begin with. We will try to conquest it as fast as possible while remaining relatively safe, because we have to remain in good relations with both China and Russia. We don't want them to interfere, and of course they don't want to see us becoming too strong for our own good. Let's pick over here. We got in our capital province, and you can recognize capital provinces by the golden lettering. We've got our spies that we began the game with. We'll immediately send them over here to these two provinces, and then try to gain core provinces. Core provinces will give us a possibility to attack this country. It will give us a reason to attack this country, because we can attack this country pretty much already, since we are an authoritarian country, and as such we are not limited that much in war declaration. But attacking them without casus belli will mean that we will receive a huge penalty for warmonger, and we do not want to we do not want to receive this penalty. So we will try to gain core for now, and then we will try to attack them. Now let's take a look at the upper bar over here. These are our main resources in the game. So we've got our money, action points, and natural resources. We are relatively okay, nothing great, especially in terms of resources, but we are gaining them, and that's a good thing. The rare earth elements are our weakest point, actually. We can take a look on the different maps. Let's take a look at metals. These are countries that we are going to hopefully conquer. And as a matter of fact, Kyrgyzstan is quite rich with metals. Slightly worse with oil. But actually surprisingly rich with rare earth elements, which is a very good sign, especially since we are going to conquer them first. Now this is the rarest natural resource in the game, and it is used mainly for nuclear attacks, and we are thus far not developed enough to deal with nuclear weapon, but it will certainly be beneficial to have some resources in our back pocket. So what else we've got over here? There's GDP growth, our main economic factor that determines whether or not we are actually expanding, and HDI, manpower, which is used to create new units, and missile count. Like I said, we don't have any nuclear missiles right now, so we will not deal with this parameter. Now we should try to improve our economy. We should try to do something, especially with our GDP growth, but at the same time we want to expand our military forces, because we want to do this as quick as possible while remaining safe while expanding. So we can already move some of our forces down here, down south. We will have to try to balance it out. We'll try to balance our economy, which is good but not great, and our military forces. So we can already start by placing maybe a military building over here. We can place buildings on this little flags. So let's place a building near here on the border with Kyrgyzstan. As a matter of fact, we're going to place barracks over here. We can use barracks to build additional units, so they will not have to come all the way from our capital right here, because we can also build units in capital. And as a matter of fact, we can already do a little bit of this. Now this orange color means that if we'll recruit these units, if we order to build them, we'll go in depth. For now I don't want to go in depth, so I will just maybe make around 7 units for now. They will be slowly coming along. And let's go into provinces, which is over here. We can alternatively use this button. And let's look for some projects that we can introduce. Projects can introduce our different effects to our country. And we want to improve our GDP growth for now, and we can introduce 2 projects at the same time. So perhaps we can go for one project that can improve our GDP and maybe one project that can improve our army force. We could go maybe for something like special forces training. This will allow us to produce commandos at a cheaper rate and improve the attack of our units. Sounds very good. We'll do this one, and then let's try to do something with our economy. Now, as we can see, the green projects are already implemented, and our country is quite focused on agriculture, but we could try to maybe make a slight turn towards services. Services will actually improve our GDP growth. It's not that expensive, we can easily afford this, so this will be our second project that we're going to implement. And then we can try to build some additional buildings. We'll try to place them maybe somewhere in here, far away from our potential enemies. Well, there's always a potential enemy in Russia, of course, but we will try to remain friendly with Russians, remain friendly with China as well. So let's build some provinces, some buildings, excuse me, over here. Maybe something cheap that can... Farms are very cheap and they can actually help us with GDP, so we can place a couple of farms over here. Just to get us going at the beginning. We will eventually probably replace them with some more sophisticated buildings. But let's keep farms at the beginning for now. Now we are... Oh no, I thought we would go into a debt. Well, as a matter of fact, we just received a task to make a block. And come to think about it, we could try to make a block with Uzbekistan. That would be probably very beneficial for us. We could then try to use Uzbekistan to fight these other countries that we want to conquer. And of course, then finally at the very end, we could just bravely stab Uzbekistan in the back and betray them as well. So sounds like a plan to me. Let's try to do this. Now, to add them to our block, we would have to improve our relations and also gain favor points. So let's try doing this. Relations improvement. This would give us plus 20. And at the same time, we could try to gain favor with them. Hopefully this will work, because there's a success chance for every action. And come to think about it, we should probably already making friends with Russia and with China, because we don't want them to do something we don't want them to do. Great, improved relations with Uzbekistan. Which is enough, actually. No, it's still not enough, excuse me. We've got our current value over here in parentheses and the required value over here. So we still need to improve our relations by 6. Let's see if there's anything we could try doing. Cooperation treaty. Yeah. Sounds good. Let's try this. Letter with demands. Anonymous letter of terrorist demands has been sent to our HQ. An unknown group demands a massive tribute, threatening us with a series of attacks. How will we respond? Now, like I mentioned before, as Kazakhstan, we are an authoritarian country, and our system is determined by the sum of these 3 political parameters: interventionism, personal control, and militarism. Now, I don't want to become a democracy, because as a democracy, my possibilities to attack different other countries would be limited. So, just because of this, I will probably go with this option. We do not negotiate with terrorists, because this will improve my personal control. So, now this causes some unhappiness, but I think we can manage this, at least for now. As a matter of fact, we can improve the relations with Russia, super, great, and with China. As a matter, oh wow, we've actually got some unhappiness. And we've gained favor with Uzbekistan now. This obviously is not how it is supposed to look like. The game is still under development. So I guess occasionally we may find a little bug like this. But that means we can actually try making our block now, if I'm not mistaken. We are still lacking research relations and we are lacking favor points. Maybe I must have misread what this pop-up said, but I guess the action was a failure. Well, let's try investing money in them. Anyway, we have to deal with the unhappiness. We've got quite an unhappiness in our country. There's also 5% unemployment. That's not too bad. We can live with that. But this unhappiness can eventually become a problem. So what we can do, we can use some actions in provinces, such as social actions. What we've got over here, propaganda. This actually set our target unhappiness. You can lower it by -10. So we will do just that. It's pretty expensive, all things considered, but I think we can afford it. We'll do the same thing in at least a couple of provinces, especially over here where we've just built our new buildings, because we don't want a rebellion to spread from here, because that would mean that this building is no longer serving us, and well, that would be just a waste. It was propaganda. And also an army over here. Let's move them. And how's our barracks coming along? We can build something over here. Let's make some panzers, some tanks, maybe just 6 tanks to begin with, and commandos, because we've improved our statistics for our commandos, so why not? We will take a slight debt, but we can repay it by the next month, so there's nothing serious. We should also make at least one general for our future war. I believe we don't have a single one. Well, that's expensive. We'll have to wait a little bit. Can increase the speed of the game. We'll receive our incomes by next month, so we can already repay our debt. You don't want to keep your debt too long, because eventually the cost of the debt can eat you alive. So let's repay it immediately. Cooperation treaty has been implemented successfully. Now we've got our favor points. So I guess now we should be able to... No, because we'll still not have... Wow, just 2 relation points. That is unfortunate, but there's something we can try to do about it. Let's go into projects, and in diplomacy there should be relations with everyone, theories of relations. We will gain +2, which is exactly what we want. I don't know if we can make it in time, because this project will be implementing itself for 125 days. That's a lot, but like, we can try anyway. As a matter of fact, we can already try to implement something else. Oh no, we are still implementing services, so not yet. That is highly unfortunate that we are missing these 2 points. But anyway, soon we will have some more options to deal with them. We'll gain additional... You can gain additional actions to... You can gain additional actions by introducing projects, especially if you want... If we were talking about diplomatic actions, then from that you should be interested in implementing projects from the diplomacy category. We are obviously not that much, we don't have many projects in this category yet, so our options are limited for the time being. As a matter of fact, we've got our spies over here. This little bar indicates the spy points. We've got intelligence and counterintelligence. These points are used to perform actions, and I've sent these guys over here because I want them to gain claims on these provinces. Like I mentioned at the beginning, if we have claims, if we have cores, that means that we can declare a war with much lower penalty for warmonger penalty rather. So let's try for both provinces, because there's only 50% chance of success, so we can double our chances. We've got problems with environment in our provinces. That's not good. We should act against it. We will try to introduce a new project whenever we can. Actually, we already can. Let's jump into natural environment. Basic environmental protection. It will lower our environment degradation modifier. So let's try this for now to try to stop these problems, because bad environment will eventually turn into even higher unhappiness, and we definitely want to keep our unhappiness as low as possible. The search for terrorists continues. Our security forces were unable to catch the terrorists. Well, honestly, I don't really care much about them, at least not now. Now, there may be some negative effect from just ignoring this, and it probably there will be, but I don't want to spend money, and I definitely don't want additional unhappiness. Well, let's give up for now. We'll see. Hopefully nothing bad will happen, which obviously means that something very bad will happen, but we'll see. We can combine our armies over here. And how much was this general? It was the 3k if I remember, 4k. Well, we'll have to still wait for him. And hopefully when our actions are implemented, our spy actions, we will gain cores, and then we can immediately attack. We have a huge numerical advantage over Kyrgyzstan. The war should be very easy. A new large company plans to go on public. Go public. Yeah, additional GDP growth. We are still low. I mean, it's positive at least, but it's low. So we definitely could use this. Well, anyway, like I was saying, hopefully we can conquer Kyrgyzstan rather fast. Well, boy, these terrorists, they do not give up easily. Oh boy. Well, we're not going to be intimidated. Hopefully we can conquer Kyrgyzstan and then move directly to Tajikistan, which will be also rather easy to defeat. It has failed. Well, that's bad. Hopefully our other spy will be more successful. Terrorists stood down. Terrorists have announced that they are withdrawing their threats. Well, that's awesome. Very good. They can go terrorist someplace else. Well, we can also try to gain, since our spies apparently failed, we can try to claim core through the diplomatic ways. This is only a 40% chance of success, but hopefully it can work better than our spies. Let's try doing this, because the time is of the essence. Kyrgyzstan, as we can see, they have already increased their numbers, and even though we are still superior to them, we should not waste much time. How's it going with our Uzbekistan? We are still theories of relations, so that means that we should now be able to try make a block with them, which should make our conquest over here that much easier, since they have a large number of units. Actually, I believe they're even stronger than we are right now. If not, that we are pretty much equal. Confirm. Let's try. Should also probably do some more actions to lower the unhappiness. Can make a festival. Why not? Everyone deserves a break every now and then. Let's take a look. Was implemented successfully. Yes, that is exactly what we wanted. Now we've got additional bonuses from creating for finishing our task, but now we have a very strong power, definitely much stronger than Kyrgyzstan. So that is very good news. We are losing right now rare elements, but we should be able to make up for this as soon as we will conquer this province, since it is very rich in this particular resource. Oh yeah, we should also repay our debt. Let's jump maybe into projects and act against our rising unhappiness. Social allowance over here. This reduces unhappiness. It's pretty expensive, but well, I guess we'll have to survive somehow. Maybe also go into the arms industry. We've got nothing in this category. This should make our armies coming alive much faster. So for now, basically what we're doing is just waiting to gain core over Kyrgyzstan. Once this action is hopefully successful, festival action, great, we've got a festival. Once we've got our core, we're gonna immediately try to attack Kyrgyzstan. Let's take a look at our spies. I'm not sure whether or not they can try again. Yes, they can. But let's go. Let's try to make additional cores. We can also, because our GDP is still very low, let's improve our farms. This shouldn't be too costly. We can definitely afford it. Although we are losing our rare earth elements rather quickly. If necessary, you can always use the trade resource and trade either money or resource. We don't need that much of it right now, so there's no need, but if there will be a need in the future, we can also always just buy some from the market. So there's no immediate problem with our rare earth elements. There's also colonization projects available. Now you can colonize provinces that are unowned in the game. We can either colonize land, which basically in main scenario limits us to the Antarctica over here, or we can colonize international water provinces. But I don't think it's for now it makes sense for us, since we don't really have access to the sea. I mean, yes, we kinda do, but not really. So that makes no sense. These provinces are national waters, so you can't colonize them. You can only colonize unowned provinces. So for example, all of these. And there will be very hard to simply send any units just to protect it. So there's no really point, and well, we've got honestly other priorities right now, but this is a very cool option to have, and I would definitely go for it if I had access to, let's say, Indian Sea over here, Indian Ocean over here. Now how it works is that you just implement a step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the steps, and after you're finished, you will gain access to colonize a province. For now, you can always search for natural resources, which will give you information Oh great, we've got our core. We will jump right into it in a second, but for now let me explain this. You can always search for natural resources using this option. This action will tell you how many provinces, how many resources there is in this province. So once you've implemented all the colonization projects and you're wondering what province you want to colonize, that you can always use this option and colonize the province that has the highest number of resources. Of course, you can colonize any as long as it's uncolonized yet, but that should probably be the most wise move, to colonize the richest provinces at first. So anyway, we can now start our war. We are, as we can see, there's Uzbekistan here, and there's us. We should be able to win rather quickly. Let's take a look at this army. Yeah, we will send one unit, one short small unit over here to Kizilkia, just to occupy it quickly, and everything else will move directly to Bishkek in hopes that we can encircle our enemy. They will be unable to retreat over here. Let's take a look what we've got over here. Infantry, division, commandos and artillery. So my guess is that tanks are the fastest, 3, infantry 2, commandos also 3, and artillery 2. That is speed. Oh, excuse me, I'm looking at speed in theater. I was supposed to look at the unit land speed. That is the speed on the map. So there's 6 for artillery, 7 for commandos, 8 for tanks, and 6 for our infantry. So we will take our tanks, our panzer divisions, and we will send them, since they are the fastest, we'll send them over here, while everything else will directly attack our enemy in Bishkek. And then we can probably, hopefully, quickly destroy their armies and win the war. So let's try this. We'll declare the war now. If we are not, yes, that's what I was afraid of, is that we do not have the consent of Parliament. We will do something about it quickly. Certain actions will be limited by our political parties. I've got 3 parties in the parliament. That is because I'm an authoritarian country. In democracy, we've got 5 parties, and there's only 1 party in a totalitarian country. They don't want us to declare wars. They don't understand that we are doing it for the benefit of our country. So they will have to, well, they would have to get used to that we are doing what we are going to do. We will lobby this party. This is, well, rather expensive affair, to be fair, but we must do what we must do. For 120 days, these 3 parties will be lobbied. That means that they will agree to the actions that normally they would be against. So we can now declare war. Let's wait a day, and we can follow our plan. So we're sending everything over here, and we're sending our tanks over here, and then they can move immediately over here. So we will gain occupation over this terrain, and then destroy the army over here. Now we can already see that they are on the move, but hopefully we will catch them before they can change province. And as a matter of fact, just to be prepared for the future. We will already move. We don't need to finish this action because we already got our core. We will move our spies to Tajikistan because this will be our next goal. Let's take a look at our projects quickly, because how we're doing. We are implementing projects. We'll have projects in 2 days. Very good. So over there, because now that we are at war, I'm afraid that we may notice a surge in our unhappiness, which is already very, very high, 23% in most of the country. We'll have to do something against it. As a matter of fact, we can already make some more propaganda actions. Well, let's win the war. And now, actually, before we win the war, let's introduce some new projects. So, natural environment, social policy probably would be the best. Well, we are limited by our resources right now. Maybe some basic infrastructure. You can recognize unhappiness by this particular icon. Private transports. This can also improve our GDP, but it will lower target of intervention. That is not a good thing. So, as a matter of fact, this actually increases the unhappiness. So that's even worse for us. Well, for now, let's go with urban rail transit. And maybe one more from military, just to be sure, and anti-tank tactics. We've got a lot of tanks actually, and Kyrgyzstan consists mainly of infantry units, so this will serve us very, very well in this war and in the incoming war also, because I'm sure that Tajikistan also consists mainly of infantry, because these countries are poor. Yes, there are 9 infantry units. So this will be a very good project for us. But anywho, for now, let's conquer Kyrgyzstan. Our panzers are already here. And then we are moving over here, and we will have numerical advantage. Now we can jump into the theater, into the battle if we want to take control. Now we will win this no matter what, because we've got a huge numerical advantage. But just to be sure, what we can do, we can spread our armies around, because we don't want them to hit each other and there's something like friendly fire in our game. So we want to make sure that they are spread around. We can move our panzers and our infantries up front, while keeping our artillery somewhere in the back. There's also options that you can use. Special orders that will temporarily give you some boosts, like army attack +1. I will choose this one. For 20 days we will have +1 for the attack, and we should be able to beat them very, very fast. We'll have it at fast speed, so this will be a little chaotic. But we are doing just fine. We can move you up a little. You can find a log over here. This is going just very, very smoothly. It's a matter of time. Uzbekistan came with help, but we won't really need you. But that's good that you are here. So anyway, the moment we are conquering, the moment we control 100% of our enemy, we will have to send them a peace negotiation option, which will be, of course, the conquering annexation of their provinces. So acquire province, and now we can select these two, and they have to agree because, well, they've lost completely. There is no way that they can refuse. So we're sending, and peace offer was accepted. So we immediately quickly gain control over the Kazakhstan, over the Kyrgyzstan, and we are now one step closer of our overall goal. We already control Bishkek. Now our next goal would be Dushanbe, which is also on this list. For now, we should probably focus on dealing with the unhappiness, dealing with war losses, because and also making sure that China is not that particularly angry at us for conquering Kyrgyzstan. They may be, so just to be sure, we can already try to improve relations with them. We can try doing the same with Russia. As we can see, there are war losses, so we can just wait and rebuild our country for now. But we will have to stop for the time being. Our next goal would be to conquer Tajikistan and then move further left, eventually against Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. And then, as is the Union of Central Asia, then we can improve our country even furthermore and hopefully be a reliable adversary against Russia or China. So anyway, thank you very much for watching for this little presentation. Hopefully you like it. And goodbye and enjoy your game.